Our audio in Sunday night show, and we should be live. Let's just gonna watch the stream here for a second and make sure that this actually comes. There it is. Okay, great. Here we are. Hey, what's up? It's the worst days yet again. We're eventually gonna take over every night of the week, which will leave you no good days left in the week. So
That was good.
thanks. I got dad jokes for days. Um, I'm your game master, Joshua Wise, PhD. And with me, that's not even a joke. With me, for the first time on this stream, for people who don't know really what they're in for. One of them sort of does. I guess two of them sort of do. But hey, if you've listened to the Worst Days Apon Plays series, our podcast, you'll have heard Ben Wallace as the rebel. What the heck was your character's name again?
Brett,
right. Oh yeah,
Brett
there's going to be a moratorium on Chet's and Brett's and Brad's.
Oof.
Those are easy names for.
Chad is still on the table, though.
It's technically true, I guess. You're gonna slip that in. That's Connor Castile. How are you, Connor?
I'm doing good. I'm currently in Dallas, and we finally got water again today.
You also have power,
Oh.
apparently. So congratulations on both
Yeah.
of those
Wow.
things. Awesome. And Connor is broadcasting from his floor.
I'm just quirky like that.
Yeah, he's
Big
blending.
rebel
He was
energy.
blending into his bed, so we had to change the shot. And next to him, Gerard Marquez, who that's not a speech impediment. He's just from Australia. How are you, Gerard?
That's actually my senior quote. This is not a speech impediment. I'm actually Australian. I'm doing good. I'm realizing now that I look like Ben's son. So that might be a problem for future streams. I love you, Dad.
Yeah, you're gonna put out. I love you too, son. You should put that in your official Apon bio, Ben's son. Actually,
son.
Ben's son.
Yeah, I only got in by nepotism. He got with an Australian woman, but that's a story. That's a different stream.
It's a
I'm
long
gonna say,
story.
of all the people who got into this, our next person, Alyssa Russell, got in the easiest. Alyssa only had to do like a quick interview, like sit down and talk to me. But the rest of you had to actually go through hell. The
Whole show.
a whole show, but also the interview process that we had to do,
Oh,
which
yeah.
was me basically playing Kevin Spacey in a fantasy setting.
That was such a good character.
How are you, Alyssa?
I'm good. I'm excited to see what I got myself into.
Yes, that's a very kind way of putting it. So this is the Worst Days. We are playing a new horror RPG that's coming out from Apon Games. We were doing a Kickstarter. We kind of pushed back on the Kickstarter to give us some more time to do some stuff. This is the third public game of this. The first one you can find at allportsopen.com. The Apon Plays game of an earlier version of the game, and there is a game running on Tuesday nights on Twitch. You can also find that at our YouTube channel, and you can kind of find all those links around. And we're going to basically be doing a session 0 tonight. We're going to be doing character creation. We're going to be figuring out what characters are. We're going to walk through basically what we think it should kind of look like when people are making characters in this game, because characters are more than just their stats. Their relationships are super important, and because of the nature of this game, we have to be really careful about taking each other's sort of limits and sensitivities into account, because we want it to be a game that's really horrific for the characters, but not necessarily for the players. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk through the archetypes that we all sort of wanted to play, or you all wanted to play, since I'm game mastering. And the setting for this adventure, this is the second adventure we're going to release. It's called Shadow on the Mountain. and it's 1966, and you guys are a group of young people, 18 to 22, around that, give or take a year, and you are heading to southern Idaho. This is Middle America. It is, and I very specifically picked Idaho, 1, because they do in fact have ski resorts in the mountains, and 2, it's not Colorado, which, if you're going to set a haunted, evil thing in the mountains and you put it in Colorado, Stephen King can just sue you. But Idaho's
it's like
real
a Twitch
close.
DMCA. It's instant.
Yes, exactly. You can do any of his projects for $1, but if you just mimic the Overlook Hotel, you're done. And also,
Rich.
there was a really good video game that came out in the last couple of years called The Suicide of Rachel Foster, which is in a hotel that looks a lot like the Overlook in the Snowy Mountains, and that's in Montana. So I was really limited into the states that I could pick if we wanted to do this in Middle America. So southern Idaho, there are in fact quite a few ski resorts in the mountains of southern Idaho, a state that most of us don't think about very much. And
Idaho, home of the Idahoans,
yes,
the people who live there.
exactly.
They have corn, or is it potatoes?
Thought it was potatoes.
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 Okay, potatoes.
I mean, they probably have. corn,
Everybody
too,
has
though.
corn. But yeah.
Again, this is how much I think about Idaho.
They have. It's actually
Do they have
banned.
corn?
Corn is banned in Idaho. Actually, fun fact.
If you
Oh my
can't
God,
make it from
they're
potatoes, you're not
Idaho.
allowed to have it.
Hey
Yes.
guys, welcome to Fun Facts with someone who's not from this country.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what archetypes everybody wanted to play, and we'll sort of start to hammer that out. Figure out how old people are. What is this age group? Are they sort of at the end of high school? Are they in college? Have they just graduated college? Where are they at? And we'll kind of figure out who these characters are, how they relate to each other, and then we'll go over kind of their stats, their worldview, what we call concerns and interpretations, a couple of skills, and then we'll go over the limits, our lines and veils. So let's actually get into it. I'm just gonna kind of go around and we'll talk about what archetypes you guys were interested in playing, and the way that basically this works is pick an archetype. You pick a concern and an interpretation, or you pick 2 of those, and we'll talk about kind of how they work. You get 1 skill, and then you get a second skill. You add a couple of points to your traits, and that's it. That's character creation on paper. But there's going to be a lot more as far as how you guys relate to each other. So let's start, Ben, because you've done this before. Why don't we start with you and which archetypes you were at least leaning to? I know you were open to a lot, but what were you sort of leaning towards?
Yeah. So the more I thought about it, I'd say I'm probably leaning toward. So Nature Kid is very tempting.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of being a skier, like a surfer skier, nature kid who's who's in the mountains to ski, to commune with the mountain, commune with the snow, commune with the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds fun to me. I could do that. I could do. Prep maybe would be fun. And then the other thing is, I thought about I could take a shot at playing the Golden, which would be the opposite of what I did. I was thinking, because last time I did Rebel,
Right.
maybe I'm a Golden Child this time and just like be really serious and like be the stick in the mud character who doesn't want anyone to do drugs. Or I'm basically going to just try to have the opposite experience I had last time,
Sure.
where I got really high and got really drunk and almost died from that, but then died from being bit in the neck by a vampire. So if I could avoid,
Spoiler alert.
yeah, I suppose, yeah.
I mean, not directly. You did not die from being bitten in the neck by a vamp. I mean, literally almost nothing you said was true. 1, your character was not bitten in the neck by a vampire. You became a vampire by smashing a vampire cop in the face with a broken bottle.
You're right.
And 2, you were killed by an angry mob.
I was. You're right. But the other things I said about getting really drunk and really high and almost dying from that
Your
did happen.
spoilers aren't even right.
Yes, his spoilers are lies. Um, so, all right, I've got Nature Kid, Prep, and Golden as your big ones. Alyssa, what were you thinking?
Yeah, I mean the first two I was drawn to were Indie and Hedonist.
Okay.
I feel like for the 60s, Hedonist is what I'm leaning towards a little bit more. I was also looking at Golden a little bit too because I thought that could be interesting
Mm-hmm.
on the other end of the spectrum, but those were the ones I was leaning towards.
Okay. So the good thing about this is that if you guys want to, there's certainly no problem in having two of the same, even four of the same archetype.
We're all
is-
playing hedonist and getting nothing done.
Right, yeah.
It's
But
like real life.
And that's
well,
almost what happened last time I played. But
right, yeah. But the good thing is that by focusing on the characters' personalities and their concerns, you can have four Goldens who are like, for whatever reason, at this ski resort to study, or whatever, or hey, maybe it turns out the Goldens are all skiers for the school ski team,
Right.
and they're here for business. That's why they're here. Or two of them are, and the other two just wanna they're here to be hedonists, and they are all about doing all the fun things there. And they have no intention of strapping on skis. They are here for the pool, for the hot tub, for the drinking, for the games, for for whatever. This is, and I mean, so this is funny because the first adventure I wrote was about the Jersey Shore, which I've been going to my entire life. This next one is about a ski resort, which I've never been to. And if I did, I would be the guy who's hanging out in the lodge, reading by the fire, hoping someone interesting and beautiful walks by and goes, "What's that you're reading?"
Oh my god.
Yeah. So
The kid who wants people to think he's smart. Just
Yeah.
waiting for someone to notice.
Yeah, 100%. That's 100%.
Yes,
right.
I'm reading Zizek. Maybe you've heard of him. He's a new philosopher. I find Kantian philosophy is just so abhorrent.
Kantian.
You know, it's so outdated.
So German, so 16th century.
I'm actually reading the original Les Miserables, and it's actually just the music.
Mm-hmm. In the original Portuguese. That's
Yeah. Oh
Um,
god, great.
so with that in mind, Gerard, what are you thinking?
I had a few ideas, like I think a lot of us did, which is maybe
Uh-huh.
not helpful. But I think what could be interesting. So I was thinking of either going, my initial reaction was Jock,
Uh-huh.
but upon further inspection, Brat seems really fun, and to just really play into that blonde girl archetype from all 1960s movies.
Mm-hmm.
And
Brats
maybe I
don't
would
just
play
have to
a
be
woman
girls,
for
by
that.
the way. There is definitely the stereotype of the super entitled boy who is
Josh, I didn't. It's not that I have to be a girl.
you
it's that
just
I get
really
to be.
want to be. Okay, that's fine. I'm just saying that the people who have played Brats before have played them as females,
No,
and I
yeah.
feel like maybe
Yeah,
that
I was actually thinking as a guy, I was thinking kind of what's that? The guy from oh my gosh.
So there's
his
a
name's
character,
gonna
I think,
forget me, but
from Mad Men. There's a really good character from Mad Men who's a brat. The younger blonde guy who's very I don't know, he's
Yes,
very
that's a great
entitled.
example.
He's a super entitled
Mhm.
guy whose family is from Connecticut, blah blah blah.
if
that's
anyone's seen The Magicians, I was thinking kind of like Elliot,
Oh, okay.
which would be fun. Or I was thinking Jock, but what I'm more interested in is
who is
a
this French
cohesive
guy,
group.
by the way? You keep mentioning this French guy that you want to play, Jacques, and I don't. Is he an archetype?
Jock?
Jacques? Yeah, you keep saying.
Oh, very, very funny. Very funny, Josh.
So
I guess
yes.
it is a speech impediment.
All right. So Brat or Jock.
Mhm.
basically okay. Now, if you play Jock, would you play that also as a lady person?
No, I was probably gonna play Brat or Jock as a male character.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. And Connor, what were you thinking?
Yeah. So, in order of interest, check my notes.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I was
Stack ranked.
that.
really I think top one was probably like the romantic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a very like because you know the '60s, like a very Daphne Blake kind of person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And after that, I was thinking like prep, rebel, or hedonist.
Okay. So we've got romantic and then prep, rebel, hedonist. So if people went with their first choices, we would have a nature kid, an indie, a brat, and a romantic. And so if we sort of start with that,
My first choice is actually Jock.
is Jock? Okay.
Jock would be my first choice.
Mine is
Yeah.
hedonist.
Is hedonist. Okay, all right. So nature kid, hedonist, jock, and romantic. So let's think about those four characters. Now,
Sure.
Alyssa, when you think about a hedonist, are you what are you sort of imagining is their big pleasure source?
That's a good question. I was trying to think about that a little bit. I think I kind of want to take it in almost an intellectual way, not quite though. So like not
Ooh.
necessarily school focused, but like wanting to just kind of learn more about certain things or like plays a lot of video games, that kind of stuff where it's not necessarily sex, drugs, that kind of thing, but
Mhm.
more
Pleasures.
intellectual,
Right, intellectual
yeah,
pleasures.
pleasures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Yes. So the question would be then.
So you're a
if-
freaking nerd.
what? Right. So the question then becomes: is it a hedonist or is it a geek? Right. So.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now you could
Just-
certainly play that as a hedonist, where they're like, "Look, I'm playing pinball here. There's a games room. I'm playing pinball. It's the thing I want to do." Or I'm reading. It's the thing I want to do, and I'm gonna prioritize my pleasure doing those things over other things. You're not really particularly interested in like geeking out about them. You enjoy the pleasure of it, and that's kind of the main thing. Connor, were you going to raise your hand and say there were no video games in the 1960s?
That was actually my question. Did they have video
I
games?
was
in the
thinking
60s?
like arcade game type things, you know?
So the
Yeah,
answer
I was
is
like, was Atari a thing then? Like,
no, not yet. Atari was
No.
invented
Oh
in the
my gosh.
1960s by Nolan Bushnell. So, and Pong was invented by a guy who went to high school with my dad. So, in San Francisco, they did not know each other. He also went to high
Josh
school
for
with
the
O.J. Simpson.
geek archetype.
So,
For the geek archetype, Josh
Uh-huh.
just wrote his autobiography.
that's correct. Yeah. So yeah, no, there were video games in the 1960s, but they were exceptionally rare. They were very prototypical beginning type stuff, Space War,
Yeah.
things like that. So
Pinball
but
machines were huge.
pinball
like those
machines were
cabinets.
huge. There were plenty
Yeah,
of
the
coin
pinball
operated.
machine was what I had in mind.
Yes, yeah, plenty of coin operated things, darts, pool. Like there's a whole games room at the resort. So like that's all of that stuff is there. If it's more intellectual, there's a library. There's stuff like that. So if we went nature kid, hedonist, jock, romantic, why are all of these characters together? So one easy answer, one thing that we've never gone with, is that they're all related. Now we have had like sibling characters or whatever, and it could
okay.
be that it's a family vacation. It could be that they are tied together by some sort of school thing, that's what they're doing. They're going on a school trip. It could be just that these are all old friends, and they've sort of grown into different directions, or they were still friends despite these differences. It could be that 2 or 3 of them are friends, and one of them is the romantic partner of another person, and they don't necessarily fit in. So those are all possibilities for how you end up with all of these sort of different archetypes together.
Yeah.
So I guess my next question is, how old do you guys picture your characters being? Are these late high school, early college, late college, just graduated? And again, we could kind of have a mix because if you're all related, then it's a perfectly good reason why you have a mix of ages. If you're friends, then maybe you're a little bit closer. If it's a mix of family and friends, you can have it all over the place.
So I'm thinking like post high school, but definitely I'm not a college student. I feel like I probably work at a surf shop most of the time in California.
Okay.
And if I can, and now I'm willing to move that. It doesn't have to be kind of
So
hard
you
to
work
be
at
a
a
surfer
surf shop in Utah?
in Utah. Yeah, you know.
A failing surf shop.
So I don't know. I'm leaning towards out of high school, but that still could be pretty young, right?
Yeah, I mean that still be 19. Now, this is the 60s. The drinking age is 18. So,
The
there's
60s were lit.
yes.
I know that I'd say that, but
That's yes. I mean like everything that like people do today, the 60s did it. These were people who were doing Burning Man before Burning Man was a thing. Except it wasn't corporate. So yeah,
Was
yes.
freaking corporate.
Yeah, very
they didn't have the man involved.
very much
The
so.
freaking man.
That is very true. Like it is the man who came in afterwards and went, Woodstock. I could make a lot of money off of that. And then music festivals were born. So yeah, you could kind of do whatever there. So if you want to if you want your group to be from California, that could be fine. Like you guys could all come from California. You could be related through school, but I guess if you're not in college yet, then that's not really a thing.
Sure.
But yeah,
I was thinking for the jock to be either I feel like the jock archetype is one of those ones where it's kind of hard to justify solo, and I don't really want to be some dumb guy on his own. So I was thinking of either attaching to someone else's character in terms of like morals, so that I'm kind of just following them up, like almost like the goon, or related to someone. Because I think for the jock, it's one of those archetypes where like if he doesn't have someone to like morally ground him, he will just like go off the rails. You know what I mean?
fair enough. Or he could just play football. So
Or it could just be football man.
Well, I mean, just taking it from a perspective, we are at a ski resort. He could very much be one of those like the Olympics were around back then, right?
Oh, man. Yeah.
They were, right?
Yeah, dude.
Yes.
Yeah, he could be like one of those like, one of the next Olympic athletes. So the ski resort is also like his special training facility.
I
Or
mean,
he could
yes.
just think
sure.
he
That's a
is.
good idea.
Right, exactly.
Or he could just think he is. Yeah.
Right. No, I mean he could have he could be
Yeah.
from the like mountainous regions of America, east or west coast, and like be a varsity skier. I'm sure there are schools that have skiing as a thing.
There are.
So yeah, he could be
my
that.
God.
Also, I'm just going
Why
to
does
say
that annoy me?
that very famously America pissed off Hitler in the Olympics in the 30s by having a black man beat his Aryan race. So the Olympic
I enjoy that fact.
yeah, despite the fact that
you.
the Olympics have literally been around for
enjoy
thousands of years, the modern version has been around for
I
much longer
enjoy
than
that
the 60s.
fact. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I knew the ancient Greeks had the Olympics. I just
Yes. We restarted them more recently than
I'm pretty.
Jesus, but like
I'm pretty.
I'm pretty.
So yeah, okay. So we could have a jock who is like, this could be his thing. He could be the big skier. Or he could be the guy who's like good at sports but terrible at skiing.
Yeah.
Like, so there certainly could be ways of doing that. So okay. So but how old do you picture him? Oh,
I'm thinking 19 as well.
okay.
I'm thinking like I like the idea of like either a training thing or like maybe a gap year.
Sure. Okay. So far we have like 2 high school graduates, but not yet in college. Alyssa, how old were you imagining this mental pleasure hound?
Oh,
I
God.
was kind of imagining like post high school, like going into college for that, like finally have some freedom. Now I'm gonna go crazy type phase. I feel like that'd be a fun. The '60s would be a fun time to have that.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing, so also a question, what genders was everybody thinking about playing? Let's start.
Male.
Yeah, male, Connor.
Mine was going to be dependent on, because we're doing this in the 60s, how based we are in realism.
So in the 60s, you will certainly have people who are gender bending. You certainly have people who are androgynous. You certainly have people, but like the categories that we have today are just really aren't there. So there are certainly people like drag is becoming a bigger, like more not mainstream by any means, but like it's becoming a part of counterculture and things like that. But like having like an out trans person in the 60s wouldn't it could be, but you're going to run into a lot of problems.
Okay, cool. I am going with male. It was like tangentially related to gender in that I was thinking gender. Really, I was referring more to sexuality with my question is what I should have stated.
Okay, all right. So
like in a lot of like role play settings, a lot of times people are just like, homophobia doesn't exist. We're just putting that out the window. So that's why I was like, how grounded are we going realistically?
So I mean, so realistically, in the 60s, people were out. I mean, there was certainly still plenty of phobia, but the reality is that in certain parts of the country, it just was what it was. If this were set in San Francisco, it would be, in a lot of ways like it is now. So we can always just assume that, for the purposes of this game, we never have to like make it about those things. So, certainly I think if it's the 60s, you're probably not like, you can have a gay couple there. But they're probably not, most people aren't going to be doing like PDA, in that cultural context. Now, and again, it's not a game about that, so we don't have to address it, right? So you can simply say like, yes, my character's gay and out, and this is their relationship, and we can be fine with that. So other genders, Gerard, you're going to do male, Connor do male, Alyssa, what about you?
Female.
Female?
Gotta
Okay.
spice it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And Ben?
So that makes me conflicted. I was gonna play. I just can't picture the surfer skier stereotype in the 60s. It's like in my head, it's a guy stereotype, and I know there's got to be a female stereotype for us, female archetype.
There's Gidget.
Stereotype.
Gidget, baby.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who Gidget is? You're in the right demographic for this. What the living shit? Gidget. Her name is actually a contraction of girl midget. She was, so she was a literary character first, and then Sally Field played her on TV. She was a surfer chick in Southern California. back way before Blue Crush happened. And like she was the if you've ever heard of a character called Moondoggy?
No, but I am seeing this now, and this is so wonderful in every way imaginable. This has to be what I do for sure.
Okay. Yeah, and then skiing has I mean, as far as I know, it's always been a very broadly open gender
No, sure.
sport, right? Like
It was more just the stereotypical character I had in my head, and trying to find a stereotype to role play.
Sure,
that
yeah.
I had one already in my head, but no,
this
this is good.
Yes,
This is
Gidget goes
wonderful.
Hawaiian. Yes, thank you. I actually don't know how to pronounce King Quote. Is it Quote? Anyway, he'll get that when we
Coyote.
Is it Coyote?
Or
King
Coyote, I
Coyote?
think.
Yes. Okay, fair. That's congratulations to him, by the way. His Kickstarter just succeeded.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, Gidget's the thing to look up. Also, go check out Gidget. So okay, so we got 2 ladies, 2 gentlemen. We got a jock. We have a romantic, a hedonist, and nature kid. How do you all know each other? So I'm going to assume everybody then is that like right out of high school, unless Gerard, you want to make your character significantly older.
No, I think either out of high school. One thing that could be interesting is joining the group as like a ski resort tour guide or something like that, or like some random tour guy who works at the ski resort, which could be interesting to kind of like end up with the group.
Yeah, I was gonna say we all could work at the ski resort too. That's another way we all know each other.
That is definitely also a possibility. Is that everybody works there?
I like that.
So if you all work there, what jobs do you do? Now, I will say this because you guys haven't seen a map yet and a list of things, and I wasn't thinking about that possibility for this. But this is a ski resort that has a main building that has a movie theater, a pool. It has like a hunters club in it, which is sort of their like bourbon whiskey cigar bar area. It has shopping. It's got a ballroom. It's got a main dining room. It has a library, a games room, sort of all of that in the main building. And then it has private, sort of wealthier cabins off to the side. It has a chapel. There's a little abandoned town, an old mining town that's nearby that's on the grounds that you could take a tour of. And then right at the top of the ski slopes is their new cafe, their new French Alps cafe that serves the people as they come up the ski lifts. And, you know, so it's sort of all of these things together. And then there's nature trails and hiking and horseback riding and all of that stuff too. So what, and then if you think of a job that you would like your character to do that I have not listed, then, you know, just tell me that and we can figure that out. So what do you think, what do people think that they're going to do? Connor, you were about
Can we
to say
just
something.
go back to there's being horseback riding at a ski resort?
Sure, because the lower you go on the mountain, the less snow there is.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Believe me, I looked at a lot. I looked at a lot of ski resort brochures from the 1960s while designing this. There are a shocking number of them on eBay.
So I think for me, I could go with either a lifeguard at the indoor pool or a ski instructor. So I'd be open for either of those. They both make sense for me.
Okay.
I think it would be interesting to do because I just looked up when snowboarding was invented, and snowboarding came out in 1965.
Really?
So the year before that. So I think what might be interesting, let me know if this is okay, Josh, is if I'm a ski instructor that's also trying to tell like the people that work there that snowboarding is going to catch on, and everyone's like snowboarding is not going to catch on, and I'm like, guys, like this is so freaking sick, and I'm like there with a snowboard, like look, it's so cool, and I can do all these tricks. It's like skateboarding but on snow, like just like it's one of those things that like everyone's like, stop trying to make fetch a thing, you know?
Sure. Couple of things. I know I'm
Please.
not going to be a stickler for this. Sick, not a thing yet.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Groovy. Try groovy. When in doubt,
Groovy.
say
Yeah.
groovy.
Groovy.
Also skateboarding, not a thing yet.
Oh no.
Snowboarding before skateboarding.
Wow.
I could be like, it's like skiing but with one ski.
Right,
You know?
it's skiing on one ski. Surfing is also a big thing at this point. So like,
Yes.
like
Snow surfing is
snow
what I'll be
surfing.
calling it.
Yes.
And I'll be trying to get Ben's character to get into it, and like no one's into it.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I also like that King Coyote has my back on the it's like skateboarding, but that doesn't exist yet either.
Do you know what? Okay. It's taking sides already.
All right. So, Alyssa, what do you think your character? Now, on the other hand, if you don't want to work there, you could be someone who's visiting and ends up interacting with the people who work there, or knows someone who works there. You're visiting and you're friends with one or two of these people already. So if you want a job there, cool. If you want to be visiting for the weekend, also cool.
I was kind of drawn to working at the restaurant at the top, like being a server, and then just like skiing down at the end of the night. I feel like that would be a cool vibe.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. It's weird that you say that because as soon as like I thought of that, I thought of your character working at the coffee shop. So, so
Okay.
yeah, that's probably good. And like I imagine she's the girl that like between shifts is like reading a book in the corner with a cup of coffee, and all the guys are coming
About
through,
pinballing.
and she's just completely ignoring them, like and reading Gidget, Ben Gidget.
Okay,
Gidget,
good.
Gidget.
She's becoming yourself. Insert. Okay, project some more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my
There
Reading
is
about the upcoming
more.
snowboarding.
yes, exactly. Reading about how dangerous snowboarding is and will never take off. There are no pinball machines in the French Alps coffee shop, though, unfortunately.
No.
And
All is lost.
yeah, Connor, what were you thinking?
Well, part of me really wants to work at the horseback riding place now.
Okay.
But realistically, I think I see my character best in like a bartender kind of setting.
Okay. So you have a couple of options there. You could be a bartender in the sort of the dining there's the ballroom, right, where kind of everybody is. You could be a bartender in the what's called the fireplace lounge. It's sort of right when you come in. There's the check-in area, and then off to your left there's a big two huge fireplaces, open lounge area. There's bar service there. And then there's the hunting lodge game room, which is sort of the gentleman's, a place to escape the ladies, have their cigars, talk man things, 1966.
The hunting lodge.
Okay, yeah.
I just have like this like really strong image of like putting down like a brandy and then like lighting someone's cigar.
100%. 100%. Yeah, that's exactly it. Okay. So, you guys then are going to be you know each other because you work here. You know each other because you all sort of graduated high school, wanted jobs, and maybe your guidance counselors were like, this is a good thing to do between years. It's a terrible summer job, Uh, but it's a great winter job. And so
but it's a great winter job.
yeah, so if you're gonna take a year off, you're gonna take a gap year, then hey, you might as well go work here. So okay, so let's talk about before we get deeper in. Ben, what's your character's name?
Oh. Man, I think I need to brew on that one a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, and name. Is Gidget taken? No, I'm just kidding. I gotta brew on it. I need to
It's
brew
funny
on it.
because that's not even her real name. That's
No.
just her nickname.
Sally Field. No, I'm just kidding.
It's the actress, you monster.
Yeah, I know.
Monster.
I need to brew on that a moment, I think.
That's fine. How about this? I'm going to ask you all character names in a couple of minutes. So
Oof.
give that some thought. Does anybody have one that they want to use? And then we can just sort of lock that in.
I do,
Duh.
yeah.
Okay.
Dirk? Did you just
Dirk.
say?
I don't
Dirk.
know.
Okay.
It just came to my. It came to my soul.
Uh-huh.
I couldn't stop
I'm
it.
feeling Sandy.
Sandy.
That's
okay.
good. That's
Yep.
good. I'm gonna go with Lisa then, I
Sandy's
think.
good. Hmm. Let me look.
And what did we decide your character was doing, Ben? Was she a lifeguard, did you say? Or a ski instructor?
think I said either of those could
Okay.
work for her, so I want to go lifeguard. I feel like lifeguard's a good look for her.
Okay. And
The bathing suits are just too good to not wear, even on the ski resort. I have to wear them. They're just too good.
okay. That's hey, you do you. uh Dirk
Todd
Gerard?
is good.
Todd, okay.
Todd's
Hmm.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Todd is good.
Alyssa, what's Sandy short for? Is it a nickname, or is it short for something else?
What would the long form of Sandy be?
Sandra.
Fair enough.
It's literally what it's the nickname for.
Sandra D.
Is there is it weird to just be Sandy, or is it better to be Sandra, but I go by Sandy?
No, I mean you could be just Sandy. I had a great uncle who was literally just named RL. So and his brother was
R.L.
JW.
Stein?
Nope, no, because RL Stein, those are initials. RL was just his first name.
I'm gonna stick with Sandy then. I
Sandy,
feel like
great.
I feel like I can stick with that.
Awesome.
I have my name.
Okay.
Darren.
Darren.
Darren. I looked it up. There was 13,000 people named Darren in 1960s. Or something.
This hurts my soul that someone has to go, Darren was a real name. That
It's not fake, guys. I didn't just make it up. I swear that's a real name. I can prove it on the internet.
Darren.
Literally,
Well,
people are like, Mercedes is a name, but Darren might be fake.
I've just never met a Darren. I've just
it's
never met
not.
a Darren.
It's not particularly common anymore. But very famously, Darren was the husband on Bewitched.
Mm-hmm.
Darin.
I thought it was an E, but if you want to spell it,
The one I found was
D-A-R-I-N,
IN.
That's fine. Connor, what are you thinking for your character's name?
I think I'm gonna go with Michael Harding.
Last name and everything. All right.
Yeah, we
like
should
that.
we
I
should certainly
definitely
come up
didn't
with
just spend
last
the last
names.
5 minutes on a generator.
Oof.
But yes, we should come up with last names. But right now, we can just go with the first names. That helps to create the character. All right, so let's talk about the concerns and interpretations of concerns and how they work in this game. So every character gets two concerns, and every concern has two interpretations. So the way that this works is these concerns usually will affect the main kind of conflict that's in this game, which is social conflict. Meaning that
Okay.
you can. So in social conflict, the basic way that this works is, let's say that that Darren and Sandy want the group to do two different things. They have to decide what kind of conflict they're going to have. Are they going to argue about it? Are they actually just going to try to convince each other to do the other thing? Is one going to try to intimidate the other, or are they both going to try to intimidate each other into doing it? Are they simply going to try to peer pressure each other, like, come on, like, this is what we want to do, we all just want to come on? Or do they want to try to seduce each other? And seduction does not mean it has to end in physical contact. Seduction is simply using your attraction to get somebody to do what you want them to do. So the thing that you might want them to do is make out with you, but you might also just use it to get them to give you $20 for whatever, or make sure everybody goes to the movies tonight instead of like going up to the cafe. Like using your attractiveness and their attraction to you. So there are people who will be just like have big bonuses against these. So if somebody has like do your own thing under sexuality, which is sort of what makes like it's sort of a being asexual as a power. The game like tries to like make asexuality a power by basically being like, this is it's not just not sexuality, it's focusing on other things and not being distracted by this stuff. So if somebody tries to seduce you and you focused in that direction, it's probably not going to work. But if you're romantic and you happen to pick skills and things that send you down that direction, you might be pretty susceptible to that kind of thing. So the way that it works is basically at the beginning you roll usually your courage to establish how confident you are in your position. And based on that confidence level, you either get bonuses to trying to get the other person to change, or you get bonuses to protecting your position. And the goal is to whittle the other person's confidence level down, or their certainty about their position down, until they pass indifference and they come over to your side, or to successfully defend against being whittled down 3 times in a row. To not move from your position 3 turns in a row. If you can do that, the conflict is over. They can't bring that thing up again for the rest of the session. And if they decide to only do it at the very end of the session, then the GM has the option to extend it into a significant portion of the next session. But that's the main form of conflict, and most skills and concerns affect different situations. So, for example, if you have Fight the Man as an interpretation, Fight the Man will give you bonuses in that situation if you're in a social conflict with a figure of authority. If you're fighting against a figure of authority, if you're trying to fight their influence, or you're trying to convince other people to go against them, you'll get bonuses in those social conflicts depending on how far down that path you've gone. But if on the other hand you take the interpretation that's work within the system, then when you're trying to work with figures of authority, you'll get bonuses in social conflict. And so there's all these sort of different ways that your interpretations can work. The other thing that it is that every concern has 3 points, and 2 interpretations that can have up to 3 points in them. Those 3 points will be distributed between those 2 interpretations. The most you can ever have in a concern is 3 points. You will start with 1 point in one interpretation of each of your concerns. So if you take, for example, Love Your Body, and you pick If It Feels Good, You start with 1 point in that, and you will have bonuses in social conflict when you want to do things that feel good, as opposed to doing things that are tough but maybe need to be done. So basically, if Sandy is trying to convince what are our characters' name? Darren, that they should all stay in and just kind of like hang out by the fire, and Darren is saying, no, we should go like run in the forest or something, because there weren't gyms and hotels at this point. Then he might get a bonus because he's got pain is gain, and she might get a bonus because she's got if it feels good. And so what you're going to be doing is getting bonuses for how far you go down in those interpretations. Now, you can also be balanced and have like 2 in one and 1 in the other. And that will kind of make you a more balanced person. Or you could go all the way down one of the paths and get a bonus for having all 3 filled out. But there are negatives to it. So the further down you go in interpretation, you get negatives for the other interpretation. So it's not just you get bonuses for fighting the man. You get negatives if you want to work with the man. And so that's those things kind of have to balance each other out. So as we look at, and I'm realizing now I have a character sheet that I did not send you guys, which is a big deal. But also, the stream is locked into my Discord. So, Ben, I'm actually going to send it to you over Facebook. And then if you could share it with everybody, because if I go off of this, the whole screen is going to go off of it.
Sure.
So I'll simply share it with you, and then everybody else can get it as well. Ben will post it in the chat. Character sheet. And so we'll go through these step by step. It'll make more sense as we go through it. Any questions right now as I send this document?
I feel like it's one of those things.
What's that?
Mine was just
Roasting
joking
you.
at me. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think it's one of those things that as we play, it'll click a lot more. But right now, without a lot of the context of gameplay, it's a lot. But that's, I think, every RPG.
So yeah, and so even what made me think of this is that even the character sheet itself will make it make more sense, because the way the character sheet is laid out, it basically shows you what I'm kind of describing at this moment.
Gotcha.
So let me just pull this up. Upon Games, just very slowly click through my Dropbox to share a link with Ben. Nope.
It's just us here.
Yep, it's just
Just the 5 of us here.
yep.
Just the 5 of us. We can make it if we try.
We don't have the right stat.
Josh just got sued.
Yep, just got sued.
All it took.
DMCA incoming.
Yes, that's right. We now cannot monetize on YouTube. Thanks. All right, Ben. That just showed up in your Facebook. And if you could just share, that one's just an image. There is a PDF version, but the image is probably all we need at the moment. So we'll pick your archetype gets traits, and you can see that right in the book. So if you pick, for example, the nature kid gets a specific set of traits and gets a particular skill. You have to take the skill. You don't have to take the concern. There's a suggested concern that sort of goes with the archetype, but if you want to do something else, you're free to. Let's just start with Ben's character because he's done this before, or at least a similar version to this.
Yeah, but slightly different, but
Right.
similar.
Right. So you're playing the Nature Kid, and the so what are the Nature Kid's traits?
Okay, gotta scroll back up here. So the Nature Kid's traits. I didn't scroll up quite far enough. Well, maybe
Also,
I
by the
scrolled.
way, Ben, the Nature Kid's picture is a surfer girl.
It is. Well, no, yeah, it is. I know. I'm not. I didn't think that women have never surfed. That's not.
I think that's exactly what you said.
That's not what the problem.
This is internalized misogyny.
That's not what the problem was. So the surfer. The Nature Kid's traits are book smarts 2, social smarts 2, courage 3, attractiveness 2, agility 3, and strength 2.
Right. So essentially, the 6 traits that will govern basically all of your roles in the game are here. What you will also get is 4 extra points that you can distribute however you want among these traits. The only rule is you can't have more than 6 in a trait. So if you want to throw 3 of your points into courage, cool. You'll have 1 extra point to put somewhere else, but you can't go above 6 in a trait. And then your starting skill is climbing.
Should I say what I'm thinking about putting my points into now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So 4 points, huh?
Yep.
Ooh, that's not many. I'm thinking definitely at least 2 into attractiveness. Let's bump that up to a 4.
Okay.
I feel like that's important. And then let's.
Beauty is on the inside.
What was that?
So it is on the inside.
Hard
Let's
disagree.
do.
None of my
Let's-
exes said that.
That's what a serial killer would say.
Beauty's on the inside.
That was really scary. I'm thinking one more into courage. I'm gonna bump that also to a 4.
Uh-huh.
And then Josh, agility and strength. Like, why might I pick one over the other? Like, what do you?
So agility is basically a dexterity. And strength is basically strength. So
Yeah, I'm just trying to think in game terms. Like, doesn't really matter.
So this is worth talking about. So in the worst days, when you finally meet evil, fighting it is not a great idea. The monsters that you might meet or the horrors that you might meet are not things that you're going to run up and punch or pull out a +1 sword and kill. You are a bunch of 19-year-olds who might think that they should take on a Yeti or something, but like then they're going to watch their friend get torn to shreds by a Yeti.
Oof.
And go, "Oh, Darren's dead. There are his
Rip.
intestines. Oh God, let's run."
Hello, intestines, my old friend.
So I think Josh, you kind of answered my question for me in an unintended way, which I think I'm going to put that last point also into courage and put that at a 5. I think
Okay.
it makes sense for me. Like, I think like Lisa is just, no matter how big the wave is or no matter how crazy the mountain is, I am not afraid to go out and surf it. I'm not afraid to go to ski down that slope. Like, it's just
So
not afraid.
So it's worth also saying that courage also functions as willpower in this game. So courage establishes how confident you are in your position at the beginning of a conflict. So if you don't want your character to ever, or not ever, but if you want to try to ensure that your character is as true to themselves as possible, courage is a good thing to put points into because that will help them hold the line, essentially, in their social conflicts. If your character's a little bit more malleable, less courage is useful because that it just means that they're more impressionable, as most people are. Very few people are just hardcore no, I never budge. So cool. And your recommended starting concern is greater forces nature. And greater forces is essentially a concern that says you don't really see the power of the world in like governments, social structures. You appreciate structures of power. So you can either see power as society, like human structures, or you can see power as the world, nature. And so Nature Kid tends to be greater forces nature, but doesn't have to be.
Mm.
And to give you an idea, if you take greater forces nature, you get a plus 1d6 to all rolls that involve nature-related activities or topics. So this is both social conflict and just doing stuff. So
I think it makes most sense.
Okay. And then if somebody were to pick, say, society, they get it rolls to kind of any activities where social hierarchies and structures come into play. So greater forces is one of those that's actually a little bit broader. And then if we just kind of go over them, cash rules everything. That's, hey, you're concerned with money. And so either you're balance the power or it makes the world go round. So either you're a capitalist or a socialist. Or you can walk a middle line and see the value of both. Justice, which is either fight the man or insider. Detail-oriented, which is either fact-based or social cues. So you're a person who is involved in social interactions more based on like just tell me the details and the facts, or you're a person who's more concerned with like how people are reacting to what's being said, and maybe the facts are not unimportant, but they're not the thing you're going to focus on. What you're more concerned with is how the people around you are reacting. There's greater forces that we just talked about. There is knowledge is half the battle, and there's either people person, meaning that you know about and deal better with people, or just the facts where you actually know better about information. And so that's distinct from what you're concerned about in arguments. So this is, can you manipulate people into doing what you want them to do, which is people person. You know about people, and so you know how they work. Or do you know about things? So it basically that breaks down to, do you get bonuses in social smarts, or do you get bonuses in book smarts? And we get love your body, pain is gain. You like working out, doing things that are hard in order to make your body better, or it feels so good. You don't like working out and doing hard things to make your body feel better. You like doing the things that make your body feel good to make your body feel better. And that one basically breaks down to pain is gain, gives you sort of bonuses when you're tempted towards pleasure, and it feels so good actually can help you out in sort of resisting fear. And fear is an element in this game which is basically your peace of mind. Because as really horrible things start to happen, your peace of mind can start to fall apart. And we actually, in the other stream, we just had somebody who lost like 5 points of peace of mind in a very short period of time. You only get 20. And so her world started to fall apart very, very quickly because she saw like a dead body, and then a drunk guy groped her, and then she punched him in the face. And sort of all of these things happened very quickly, where she also kicked him while he was on the ground. It was
good.
Also, he threw up on her. There was a lot that went on that happened, and so her peace of mind just like whittled down very quickly. You can have sexuality as a concern, where you are sort of the animalistic side. You are all about hooking up, and then you have the do your own thing, which is sexuality is a concern, but it's not something that you're like. it's a concern in the sense that it's part of your identity, but your identity works in a different way than somebody who's just going after it. And so this is sort of like the asexuality as a power. Then there is where it's at, which is either mainstream or fringe. And this is basically like knowing culture, being in a culture, knowing it, and either you know mainstream culture or you know fringe culture. And in 1966, there's a lot of fringe culture, and there is, of course, also a lot of mainstream culture too. So that's those are the main concerns. Ben, beyond the greater forces, what do you think your character would be focused on? And again, you can just sort of say like, I'm kind of thinking this, and then we can kind of try to figure out which of the concerns that meets.
No, I was thinking I'm kind of thinking probably the closest would be like the love your body, pain is gain.
Okay.
I don't know that she's crazy into working out, but like I feel like she's pretty fit. I don't know. I might want to maybe want to like think on that a little bit more.
That's totally fine. So Connor, your character,
Can I actually have 1 second to grab a pencil so I can fill out my sheet?
yes, absolutely. Gerard.
Hey. Okay. So
you have a jock.
a Jacques, if you will.
A Jacques, a French bodybuilder.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Please respect my French pronouns.
Yes.
Sorry.
Uh-huh.
So what I'm thinking then, so we have 4 skill points, right? That we can add to this kind of baseline.
Yes. Well, there are 4 trait points. It's the
4
same
trait
thing.
points.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm thinking going 2 in strength, so going to 5, and then going. I'm just gonna add this like +2 after.
Sure.
And then I'm gonna add 1 to agility,
Mm-hmm.
+1 to attractiveness, and I think that'll be it for the 4 trait points. And I'm sorry, I missed. How many concerns could I get?
So you get 2 concerns, and
2 concerns.
each one starts with 1 point in one of the interpretations.
Great. So, and then I also get the starting concern or the starting skill, right?
Yes. So the starting skill, and then we'll pick one more skill.
Gotcha. Concerns and skills are different. Okay, that was my
Yes.
confusion.
So the distinction between concerns and skills are essentially your character's worldview, and skills are just things they can do.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So I think I'm gonna keep it a bit easy and go with the recommended. One of the recommended concerns. I like the pain is gain concern. So I think I'm gonna go with that one. And then there was another one I was looking. Sorry, go for it.
So I was going to ask. So do you see this guy? I mean, how do you see this guy? I guess.
I see him as as mean as it sounds. I see him as kind of oblivious and a bit dumb, but very well meaning.
Okay.
So I think definitely kind of dumb and well meaning, and once he gets like an idea in his head, like he's just like so deep into that idea, and that's kind of what this snowboarding thing has become for him. So and I think maybe, I guess this is unrelated, but I think he's kind of made a connection with Ben's character, but not. I don't think in like a romantic way, but like just like a respect way, because they kind of have a different different worldviews, but very similar like motivations.
Okay.
So for concerns, I was going to go with pain is. Let me pull it up. I just had it, and then I went back to stream. Pain is gain, and then I pick one of the interpretations, right?
So it's love your body, and then pain is gain is one of the interpretations.
And that's under love your body. Great.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Mhm.
So pain is gain, and then I get 1 point in that.
Yes.
So then that's 1d6 to social conflicts that resist temptation to pleasure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sweet. I'm just going to copy that into my thing. And then the other one I was looking at that kind of went with his kind of single-headedness. Okay, great. There's a little thing on the side.
Yes, there is a search thing on the side that you can just start click through.
Perfect. It wasn't. Was it detail oriented? No. Where it's at. Okay. It was where it's at. So for where it's at, fringe
Uh-huh.
about like sports related things, and that's kind of where he got the snowboarding thing from.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah,
right.
there we
So
go.
he's into like sports culture, but he's not into like mainstream sports culture. He's into like the
Yeah.
stuff that's happening.
Exactly. Yeah. And like he's got what's it called? Like he's got like subscriptions to the magazines as a way of being like, oh, this is the stuff that's wrong, you know, like what the bodybuilders are doing. He's like, nah, that's not where it's at. That's not where it's at.
Okay.
They don't know what they're talking about.
Okay.
Sweet.
Then cool. And then
the starting
skills.
skills. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is your starting skill? And then we have like over 50 skills, so we won't probably pick make everybody go through all of that and pick those tonight, but we'll at least get
through the starting one.
Right.
So the starting skill for Jacques is I guess I just said it the same way twice. Is stretch it out. You know how to prep yourself for difficult physical tasks. This skill may be used when not in immediate physical danger. Each level of this skill grants +1 to agility rolls for an hour. So level 2 grants +2 agility rolls for 2 hours. Level 3 is 3 for 3 hours, etc.
Right. And so it's worth saying most skills, there are some skills that are just off and on. You either have it or you don't. But most skills have up to 5 levels. And we'll talk about how you acquire those. But the very short version is you get 1 skill point a session that you can either use to upgrade a skill that you have used that session or to acquire a skill that you have a good reason to have. So
Gotcha.
All you essentially have to do is say, here's why my character has this skill. Now, if your skill is like hang gliding and you're like from like a poor family from the inner city that like has never had the opportunity to hang glide, then I'm gonna be like, how on earth did your character learn to hang glide?
Sure.
But if you're an American and you want to get handguns, then there's probably a justification anywhere at all. Just like my Uncle Bob taught me to shoot. It doesn't matter where you live. But so basically you get 1 skill point a session. You can use that either to upgrade a skill you've used that session or to get a new skill. So you'll get 2 skills. You get one that's mandatory. And then again, there's like 50 of them, so we won't go through all of them this time. But by next session, skim through the list on the side and pick another one out. Or have a couple in your mind and we can kind of hash them out between sessions.
Okay. I was looking at Second Wind, but maybe I'll go through them all again just to go through them.
Also, if you're like, I'd really like my character to have this skill and it doesn't exist, I can make it. So it's just a thing.
Yeah.
Cool. So Alyssa, what are we doing with you?
Yeah. So the basic idea I had for the character was kind of like the hedonist part was doing whatever she wants, whatever feels good at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times that's based around intellectual things, but I feel like it's also like she would want to get high because that gives her a different perspective on things, or she
Mm-hmm.
would like to, do all these different things. So
Mm.
kind of pulling in the hedonist vibes into an intellectual setting. Um,
So she's kind of into
so
like psychedelics at this point.
yeah, yeah.
It's cool too of her like doing psychedelics while playing pinball.
Uh-huh.
Like she's like she won't do them if she's not playing pinball.
Um, okay, so of your traits then, how do you want to split up your 4 points there?
I feel like she would be a little bit more headstrong. So she starts out with a 2 in courage, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like she would bump that up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm not sure how many points I'd want to put in that yet. I feel like, I mean, social smarts and attractiveness are both at 3 right now, which are both kind of important to her. And I think book smarts could also be important, but are a little bit less important.
Mm.
I think she's the type like she would take a class because it's fun and not because it gets her anywhere. Like she would do a certain
Okay.
assignment because she thinks it would help her, or she would get something out of it, not because the teacher wants her to, like that
Okay.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So I
Sure.
feel like maybe book smarts wouldn't be as important. So I'm thinking um maybe 2 into courage and 1 into social smart. Do I
Okay.
get 3 or 4?
You get 4. So that would be 3 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could put another point into attractiveness or agility or strength or book smarts, I guess.
I might then do 1 more into attractiveness.
Okay. So then basically 4 in social smarts, courage, and attractiveness.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Um, and then are you going to continue on with Love Your Body? It feels so good.
I think so. I think that's a good one.
Okay.
Just kind of doing whatever feels good, whatever she's
Mm-hmm.
feeling in the moment.
And
And then in terms of the second
mm-hmm.
one, I was like kind of thinking like justice and fight the man could be a good one.
Sure.
I feel like yeah, like doing what she wants, and it's not like yeah, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure. It's well, and I would like in this sense, it could be fight the man in the sense that like people want to stop you from doing the things that you want to do. You might not be overly concerned about larger social issues, but you might use them to get the results that you want because they make you happy.
Yeah. Yeah, like a big thing I was thinking was like working at a job in a coffee shop, for example, you're going to be
Mhm.
asked to do a lot of things that seem silly or useless. And I feel like kind of that conflict of like, I got to do this for the job, but also this is not it. This is not what I should be doing right now.
So I wonder,
Oh.
is Sandy the kind of person who would start a petition to like get something changed at the coffee shop, not because she thinks it's wrong, but because she doesn't want to do it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Good. 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 Cool. And then so okay, those are good, and the uh we will take care of the skills later, but you start off with which skill? Chill out.
Chill out. Yeah.
And so the way that chill out works is if other people are losing their shit, you know how to bring them back down a little. So you can talk them out of their wild thoughts and restore some balance. Each level of chill out adds +1 to social smarts rolls when you're trying to restore someone's peace of mind. So again, you can think about that in the context of your character, that somebody else freaking out is really harshing your buzz. And so like you want to bring them down for your sake.
Can you stop being sad? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
not
Exactly.
the vibe right now.
Right,
Really
exactly.
crushing my buzz.
God, all right. So the 60s is perfect because no one in the history of American culture used the word vibe or vibes except the 60s
no.
and now.
Yes.
So like so this is the perfect time period to be playing. If it would not get us demonetized, I would have us come in with the Beach Boys, Ben. Good Vibrations.
No, we'll do. Have you
every
seen
time.
Beach Boys Shred?
No. It sounds like a workout
It's-
program.
So it's that
Brian
it's
Wilson's
their
workout DVD.
Yeah.
You know, what's it's round round. I get around that song.
Right.
And I'm sorry to detour, but this is too important not to. They get the
Oh,
music
obviously.
video. True, no, they get the music video. They overdub the music video with like what it sounds in the where they were recording the music video.
Uh-huh.
So none of them are actually singing, and you hear like clothes moving and like hands shuffling, and it's like, and then one guy in the back. No, this is too important. This is too important. I'm sending this. I'm gonna send
Okay.
you this link.
Send it along. I will check it out
off the
and
stream. Check it out.
then
I
as a
promise you
Gen
it's
Xer
worth it.
slowly judge. Cool. All right. And then you can kind of figure out what your other skill will be.
It's in Twitch chat.
Great. Thank you. Connor, you have a pencil. We are ready to rock and roll.
I gotta fill out my sheet. Like I gotta.
Awesome. All right, so you are playing the romantic. So you are suggested to start off with sexuality, animal attraction. But right, we should pause on that. What do you want to do for your traits? Now, romantic is an interesting character like the geek. The romantic and the geek both start, instead of like mostly 2s and a couple of 3s, the romantic and the geek both start with only a 4 in one of their traits. So they're imbalanced. They're not as deep of characters, or maybe well-rounded of characters. But so the romantic immediately starts with an attractiveness of 4, and everything else is a 2. So you can go even harder on the attractiveness and then spread that out a little bit afterwards. Or you could try to make this person a more well-rounded character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna dump 2 and bring that attractiveness up to 6.
Okay, this person is as attractive as a person can possibly be. Okay.
Yeah. And then I think I'm gonna split my other 2 points between social smarts and courage.
Okay, cool. That sounds great. And you start with the skill flirt, so that is good. And flirt, your ability to flirt with anyone is powerful tool for getting what you want. Each level gives you a +1 to attractiveness rolls. So if you are trying to seduce somebody, you are already hardcore at the top. Now, this also means though that like people's like preferences and orientations are respected in this. So like a straight dude cannot be seduced especially effectively by another man. It's still possible. It's just it's not actually gay. It's just no, but yeah, so like also you can't like if somebody is hardcore hetero, you can't just turn them gay with a good roll. Hardcore hetero, which will be my character in the next game that we play.
It's the 60s. We're just experimenting. It doesn't mean anything.
Also, Hardcore Hetero is a geek, and it's a early 2000s game, and that's his name on the internet.
Sequel to Hardcore Henry.
That's really we were sort of talking about like, have you guys ever played the game Who Would Play Who in a movie? Like, who would play your friend in a movie or whatever?
Yeah.
And my girlfriend's nephew a couple of years ago said maybe the most Michael Cera thing ever, because he said, I'm very strongly left-handed. And I was like, oh, that's so precisely a thing Michael Cera would say in a movie. But
I'm so strongly left-handed.
I'm very strongly left-handed.
I love that.
Yeah. But so, okay. So you are super attractive. You are, you have a skill that enhances your attractiveness.
Josh, we already know that. What about the game?
Are you going to stick with sexuality, animal attraction?
I am struggling on that one.
Okay.
I can definitely tell you I'm going to go detail oriented and then go all three into cues.
Okay, so we'll talk about how that goes, but you'll start with one in cues.
Okay.
And we'll talk about how you get extra points in those and how you're going to move those around, but we won't sort of overload that right now.
Okay, that was my misinterpretation of the rules there then.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
You'll start with that 1 point in cues.
Okay. And then for the second concern, while I am leaning toward sexuality, animal attraction, I am also being torn toward greater forces and society. Because the way I'm viewing this is very much I'm not so much leaning into the romantic in that, yes, I need a fling every 15 seconds.
Sure.
I'm seeing them much more in the flavor of the text that said they want a connection with someone, whether it's for 15 minutes or 4 years.
Right, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm seeing the character as someone who's very much one of those they want a connection with someone, but and they want someone interesting. They want the head of the PTA. They want the principal. They want someone who or a professor of philosophy, someone who interests them. But then the second that other person is like, oh my God, I love you, they're like, well, this isn't interesting anymore.
This is fascinating because this kind of
you're
character.
A Gemini.
We're talking about the game, excuse you.
Oh, sorry.
This is fascinating, right? Because this can create that kind of tension with those kind of characters who a philosophy professor, let's say, for example, as a person who used to be a theology professor, might have the very attractive student interested in them, but when they have nothing interesting about them other than their looks, that connection gets really complex, right? Because you have somebody who's dedicated their life to intellectual things, and here's a person who isn't particularly interested in the intellectual things, and so you get this weird back and forth. So, all of that to say, does your character already have a relationship going on at the moment with either somebody staying at the resort, potentially exactly that kind of person? It's the 1960s, so perhaps a professor who wears a corduroy jacket with elbow patches, and likes to talk history or philosophy.
So Josh's self-insert.
I've never owned a well, that's not true. As an adult, I've never owned a corduroy jacket.
Okay.
As a child, I owned a corduroy jacket.
And it still fits.
Yeah, I would not say my character currently has that. I would say over the course of working here, they have had several situations of that. They've definitely hooked up with whoever the shift manager is.
Okay.
Purely for the fact of it's the shift manager, that could be fun.
So they're a starfucker.
Basically.
Okay.
They want someone who has more substance than it's both the collecting the stars.
Uh-huh.
But then they haven't found a a real star.
Okay. So let me
Which
ask
is
you.
why I'm stuck with greater forces versus animal sexuality, because
Sure.
it's more of the like yes, they want sex with the person, but like sex is the tool to connect with the person.
Sure. Yes. So let me ask this: would it be good for your character if there was a guest that he had his eye on?
There's definitely potential with storytelling there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll think about that as we kind of set some of these things up then. All right. So why don't we say, for at least for the moment, that you're going to go with Greater Forces Society and then detail-oriented cues. And if you want to change that before next week, that's fine. And then we'll sort of by next week we could throw some ideas around about skills in the chat. The thing I want to do before we go is I want to know how you all feel about each other. So you're all basically working jobs that are really only day jobs at this place. You aren't the only one of you who might be working in the evenings. Is going to be Connor's character Michael, because he's a bartender. But he could also have the afternoon shift, and we'll say, for the sake of argument, for our adventure, he has the afternoon shift that day, and you're all getting off at about the same time, about 6 o'clock.
Well, the shift manager could be a spurned lover now, so now he gets the crappy afternoon
that's
shifts.
Absolutely, definitely a thing. Yeah. So yes. This
no good tips.
This has really maybe backfired a bit, but not necessarily, because the some of the people that Michael might be interested in might not be the people who are there to ski. They might be the people who are there because their wife likes to ski, and they wanna shoot some pool, have a drink. Yeah, God forbid.
Michael, you rapscallion.
So let's
Wait, what does that mean?
It's a scoundrel.
Scoundrel.
No, like I'm aware. It was a
okay
character moment.
It's
because Michael would not know what rapscallion means.
Neither would Darren.
I'm just gonna refrain from why I thought you might not know, but we'll just reference the not the Olympics. What was the other thing? It was Gerard's statement that Darren was an actual name. I put nothing past you people. So okay. How do you guys feel about each other? So let's say that there are little campfire places outside that the people who work there will often get together and hang out at. There's also, of course, plenty of you all live at the hotel. There are plenty of staff rooms and staff lounges for you guys to hang out in. So let's say that your group is a group that hangs out after they get off of work. How do you feel about each other? How does Lisa? Let's start here. How does Lisa feel about Sandy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just thinking that we probably get along because even though I haven't 100% decided which second concern I'm going to use, I feel like she's everything natural. She's all about everything natural. So I feel like if Sandy's getting high sometimes, that Lisa's probably getting high too. So I feel like there's a connection there. So
okay,
yeah, probably get along pretty well.
Okay, and
maybe Lisa is Sandy's hookup for the nature-y drugs like shrooms and weed and stuff.
Yeah, there you go. Those are the only ones I'm interested in. Are honestly the natural ones. So
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for using a term appropriate for the 60s instead of plug, which no one in the 60s would have.
Yeah.
Does anyone say that anymore?
What is plug?
See, look,
Plug was like Plug was like early 2000s.
there are still people who use it.
Really?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They're aging millennials, but yes, they still use it.
Aging millennials. You're getting very personal, Josh.
Everybody's aging until they aren't.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, so you guys, so Sandy is the hookup for, getting everybody's names here, is for Lisa, for like nature drugs.
Or maybe the other way around. So, Sandy,
Or
are
the
you
other way,
hooking
yeah.
me up, or am I hooking you up with nature drugs? Either way.
Either way.
So maybe what it is that you two keep your eyes out for the guests who you might be able to get stuff from. And based on your opportunities, like you so Alyssa, let me ask you this question. Is Sandy, well, one, I guess this is worth asking. What is everybody's character's orientation sexually?
Bye.
Bi. Okay.
A straight presenting bi.
Okay.
It's the 60s. You got to keep it on the DL.
I was going to say, you
but-
took the words right out of my mouth. Definitely straight presenting. I think Lisa's sexuality right now is straight presenting. I think that's like her whole sexuality right now.
Right. So no substance underneath. You have no idea what that is underneath, but it presents as straight. Okay, fair. Gerard, what about Darren?
I think Darren is aggressively straight presenting, but tells people that like he smashes all the time, but is asexual.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I love that.
I think he's like
That's so good.
but it's not asexual from a place of like he's discovered that about himself so much as a place of like self obsession. Like he's so obsessed like with bodybuilding and working out that like it's a bit problematic, you know.
So
But it's
okay.
asexual.
So Ben, do you remember the Bro Science Life video where he describes the levels of being a bodybuilder? And like there's the point where it's just like you're a minotaur, you've got a hoof, and like you like no woman would ever find you attractive again, but that's okay. You don't think about women's bodies. All you think about is a man's body, your own.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's not gay, but he's definitely not straight anymore.
Okay.
Anymore.
He's lifted his way out of being straight.
Yeah, he's worked his body is a temple and God can only have sex while he's looking at it.
Oh, he's Patrick Bateman.
Yeah, that's what I was going for. Yeah.
He's Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, where sex...
That's what it was, American Psycho.
Right, sex is the thing he does to look in the mirror while to admire the body that he's built. Okay.
Exactly.
Do you think Darren also, if and when he has sex, thinks he has a problem? And I guess by that I mean like if he's not enjoying it, if he's not getting out of it what he thinks people get out of it, does he think there's something wrong with him, or does he think there's something wrong with the women?
He has I don't think he's ever had sex with a woman.
Okay.
Or like at all. And I think even if he was presented with that, honestly, I think he's too self-absorbed to think there would be a problem either way. Like I don't think like also with the 60s, like sex education is worse than it is now, which is like not saying much. But I think it's like one of those things where asexual is a good container for really just it is not nor will it ever enter his mind.
Sure.
Like he thinks one like it's like a naivete more than anything. Like he thinks one day he'll have kids, but he doesn't know what the steps are or how that'll happen. It's just like one day kids, you know. Like he's not even like if a woman comes up to him, there's no like attraction there at all, or if a man comes up to him.
Sure, right, but it's also not an intellectual category he has. Asexuality isn't a category for him.
Correct.
Yeah. So right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So that being said, then, does Sandy use her sexuality to get drugs, alcohol, things like that from guests who might have brought them with them, or to get them to buy them? And by that I don't mean does she sleep with them? Maybe she does, but does she use it as a tool to get what she wants?
I mean, whatever works.
Okay. Cool. Does Lisa?
I'm gonna say yes. But where I'm on the fence. One of the things I'm on the fence about for that second concern is I did think about I was sort of thinking about taking sexuality as a second concern, and really unsure which of the two directions to go in, because both of them are very interesting to me. So it could be that she uses being attractive without any intention of hooking up with anybody and still using them to get drugs. Or it could be that she also enjoys the hooking up that gets her the drugs. So I guess I'm not. So yes, the answer to your question is yes.
Okay, so here's now what I'm picturing. I'm picturing two young women who are like very much flirtatious, interacting with people constantly, but not because they're particularly interested in the guys that they're talking to, but because they're interested in what the guys can get them or do for them.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep. Let's just push toxic femininity just straight on down the line. All right. So then you two are basically like buddies. You two, like, you have the same basic agendas. You're kind of using the same tools. And the only difference being that, like, Lisa might be a little bit less self-centered than Sandy is. Possibly.
I don't think Lisa's self-centered.
Yes, queen.
Yeah, I don't think Lisa's self-centered at all. In fact, I think she's really. I don't think she's thinking about herself. I think she's thinking about the world around her, thinking about communing with nature, thinking about, experiencing other people and new things, and mostly the mountain and the waves. But
okay, cool. So for her, it's less of a
she's Pocahontas.
She's less manipulative and just sort of like doing her thing.
Sorry.
Yes, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she's fine with flirting her way into drugs.
Sure.
I guess I have to decide whether she.
But like,
right. Exactly, right.
Okay. Cool. So, how does Lisa feel then about Michael, about Connor's character?
Yeah, I don't know. It's
what is the flirting for drugs?
So Michael's also flirting for drugs. Is that what this entire group is? Is you guys are just like
That's why we're here.
The druggies who are flirting with everyone?
Temple, I will never do drugs.
And yeah, exactly. It's like
okay.
I never touch drugs. My body is a temple.
All right, so Darren's the square then.
Do you flirt for protein powder?
The answer is no, because protein powder in the 60s is disgusting.
My response was almost very problematic, so I'm going to shut up.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good question. Is Hex5656 just asked, what about steroids?
Hex is my mod. What's up, Hex? I think Darren has tried steroids for sure.
Okay.
I didn't think he stuck to it, but I think he's definitely tried them. Like, I think he did football in high school, and I think he was like roid raged out at one point, and then like had to wean off.
Okay. I want to ask. Go ahead, Connor.
Did he wean off, or did he get weaned off by like his parents?
That's a good.
Like, did he stop himself because he was like, "Oh, these things are doing it to me," or what? Was it like an outside force going, "No, you're done with that.
That's a great point. You know what? That's a great point because I think Darren has no like idea about like self-control in that way unless like there's an outside force. Yeah, I think his parents forced him off, otherwise he'd still be on it.
Okay, so this is an important question then. And something to think about, not something that everybody has to answer right now, but something you should know the answer to. What do your parents do? And is it because when I hear that, Gerard, I hear that Darren's dad is military.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. Because my first interpretation of like when I was kind of thinking of this character was his parents are definitely high status. I like his dad being like almost like like high standing military.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know what? I like the idea of being almost forced to take this gap year as like a way to recover from like
Okay.
the stuff he went through senior year, and maybe he's like his dad was like, it's this or you're going to the army. Like you
Sure.
have to like you can't go to military school because you just graduated high school. But if I don't see some fucking changes when you get back from working at like, I don't know, my brother's or cousins, like some relative works there, you know, is kind of maybe an interesting thing.
So
You'll
we're
have to go
gonna
to the army.
we're gonna mod that slightly because
Sure.
literally every male here, and I guess there's only two, might have to go into the army because it's 1966 and
Oh, that's
Vietnam
true.
is starting.
Shit,
Um,
that's true. Oh god.
So if your dad is say like a major, then what he might be saying is, I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to shield you. You might just end up a grunt, like right
just
out
be
in front of
drafted
everything.
in.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, just a very slight mod to that exact thing.
Here's an interesting thing is, or did my dad know about the draft that may be coming and
Mhm.
sent me here to kind of like tuck me away? I don't know.
There's no
That's-
tucking away. That's
Yeah,
so.
that's fair. You can't really hide.
Right. If you're a high enough officer though, and your kid gets drafted, you could probably do a thing about it.
Or at least like make him start off like in the ROTC or something like that.
Or basically say like, okay, well your dad's a colonel. You're working this office job in Germany.
Sure, yeah.
Like
Very far away from the
right.
yeah.
So okay, so there's that. So the dynamic then of this group is yet again, Ben, I don't know how and why you do this. The other group isn't full of drugs, but this one, just like your last one, you guys,
Ben is the problem.
yeah, Ben is the problem.
Ben,
I've
you're
been
my drug.
I've been
I can't
literally
quit you.
saying that for 12 years. So you guys are basically like the stoner kids, who get together after work, smoke some weed, maybe take some mushrooms. Has anybody ever seen either Club Dread, which is the second
That sounds so
major
familiar.
Broken Lizard movie? The guys who made Super Troopers.
Oh, yeah.
Club Dread is there, and it's basically a bunch of people working at like a resort island, hooking up with guests and like hanging out with each other and having bad like past relationships, blah blah blah. So you guys are kind of those guys.
Oh.
And like just working your way through the weekend visitors. Either getting what you want from them, I guess. Oh, this is a great question. Yeah, are Lisa and Sandy anti-war?
Ooh.
I would think probably. So so here's the thing I decided, I think, from listening to this whole conversation about my concerns,
Mm-hmm.
is I think that I've decided that my other concern is going to be the cash rules everything, balance the power. Not so much because she's like a hardcore socialist or something. I don't think she thinks of it intellectually quite to that degree. I think that she just thinks that money goes against nature, that the rules
Okay.
of nature, money just doesn't make sense in nature. So that's why I use, like, I'm willing to use flirting, whatever. That's not money
Okay.
to get what I want. So that's where I think the like sort of all that comes from. But she's hippie enough that she's definitely anti-war now. I mean,
Sure. Yes.
sure.
Right. So okay, I want to do one or two more things here, and then we're going to mountain hippies. Um, then we're gonna stick a pin in this. We'll come back next week. We'll continue with what we need to continue with, and maybe start the adventure after that. But so I want to ask the question. Basically, what does essentially what does Michael think of Lisa and Sandy? And then we'll ask the question, what does Darren think of everybody else? And then we'll draw a couple more of those lines. So what is Michael's thoughts on Lisa and Sandy?
He probably likes the two of them. Like, he's probably, as far as he's concerned, actually all three of them are probably the like only interesting people that have like been around. Like, oh yeah, she's this weird nature girl. Like, she's all about like this weird hippie nature stuff. Everyone else here is like, oh my god, skiing, this, that, and the other. But like, she's a surfer girl. Like,
right.
She's not like those other people.
Yeah,
and then she's really into hallucinogenics. Like, her brain just goes places that I haven't heard people's brains go places before. I like that.
So do you think that with Michael and Sandy that the same thing that sort of attracts Michael to some of the more interesting people that he might be interested in, like up the social scale, also interests him in Sandy? Maybe not in a relationship way, but like in like an interpersonal way.
Yes, I think there is definitely something where he's into about Sandy. And depending on like how their initial like first talking to each other went, definitely like determines if Michael's like into Sandy or not.
Okay.
Because like if Sandy had also been like, okay, yeah, he's like, if she had like been like, oh yeah, I am kind of into him, he would have immediately been like, I like her as a friend.
Okay, so let's ask that question. Alyssa, what was her initial reaction?
I feel like Sandy's the kind of person to just kind of take experiences as they come. So it's less of a I'm pursuing you and more of hey, if this situation arises, sure, why not? And so I feel like she would see the attraction toward Michael, but she wouldn't be actively pursuing it because that feels boring. That feels like work.
Okay, so does that mean then that Michael is into her because she didn't pursue him?
Yeah, that definitely puts Michael in a place of like constant, no, I'm gonna make her make the first move.
Okay.
Oh, I love that. They're both like neither one will ever make a move because they refuse. I love
that. She's doing it on principle. She just isn't invested enough.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Right. Very, very, very good. Good. And then, all right. So he basically respects Lisa because she's interesting and different than most of the people there. And there's this whole will they, won't they thing between both of them, while at the same time they are just doing their own thing with other people the whole time. And I'm guessing neither one is jealous of the other one doing whatever they want with everybody else.
Michael has probably tried to make her jealous.
Okay, yeah, totally fair.
She's just like unfazed.
Just like, it doesn't feel good, so why bother?
Yeah, he's definitely done that thing where he's like, oh, she said she's like has her eye on that one like person. I know who I'm doing tonight.
Ooh.
All right. Good. And then finally, and then we'll do the reverse next week, but what is Darren's view of this group of people who are sort of so linked together by these sort of weird things that you don't really have in common with them? I would say the person you have most in common with is Lisa. So let's talk about that. What is his feelings towards Lisa?
I think towards Lisa, I'm almost tempted to say me and Lisa went to the same high school,
Okay.
and maybe it's a thing of like, it might like the first day here during like the orientation for all the different like departments. I saw Lisa, and I like latched on to a familiar person, and like I
Mm-hmm.
just kind of,
Mm-hmm.
I might be like a puppy dog thing, just like
Right.
following Lisa around.
So I mean, he
Um,
needs someone to attach to, right? Like he's a follower.
yeah, yeah, he's a follower for sure. Like he's like he's built like a brick shit house, but like he would never do something without someone else being like, good job. Like he's very like, he needs like he'll like punch someone in the face and then turn back to be like, I did good, I did
See
good,
that?
you know.
Yeah.
Do you see that? I did good. Did you want that? Oh shit, you didn't want that. And I think with Lisa, I think he has respect for Lisa's like kind of chiller take on life
Mm-hmm.
versus how he kind of sees like he's like scheduled every minute of his day type of thing in terms of like how he handles like his body and working out and stuff like that. With Michael, I think with Michael, I think he has a lot of respect for Michael in the sense of I think actually no. I think he looks poorly on Michael in
Uh-huh.
the sense of like the relationship stuff, and like, but he thinks I think Darren thinks he's being Michael's big brother when really it's the other way around. Like I feel like Michael would say stuff like, sometimes we don't have sex and that's okay too. And then I feel like Michael turns around and looks at Darren and says stuff like, I don't understand you, or like I will crack that egg. You know, like it's very much like Darren says things that don't make any sense to anything that's going on, and Michael I feel like is like, I think that's the only reason I think Michael doesn't hate Darren, because I feel like there might be some contention between those two characters
Okay.
otherwise.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like Michael definitely sees Darren as like a, what is going on with him?
What is behind those eyes?
Yeah, like what is going on in there? Because he doesn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he also definitely tries to like be his gym buddy, if only for the fact that Michael's like, okay, if I go to the gym with him, I can get more attractive,
Uh-huh.
which means I can then get everything else I want.
Yeah, right. So this
Yeah.
is an
Okay,
interesting way
cool.
to think about this, right? Is means and ends, right? So for when I think about the person who I don't have this clearly for me yet is Lisa, but when I think about Sandy, the end for Sandy, the goal, the highest good is pleasure. So everything that she does is a means to that end. When you get to Michael, the end is essentially a feeling of validation in a very specific set of confines, right? It's the validation from somebody who he wants, but that validation sort of exists in a way that as soon as they give you too much of it, you're done. So it's finding that balance, and everything goes towards that end.
Ooh, it's almost that thing of like, oh, you're dumb enough to love me. That means you're too dumb. Or like,
Well, it's like the old I think it was Mark Twain who said, "I would never belong to a society
That's
that
what-
would
yeah.
have me as a member," right? Like
Yeah.
that. And then for Darren, the end is the physical fitness, right? So when you think about it, what Michael's doing is physical fitness is a means to his end, and for Darren, the physical fitness is the end. So he's going to do all the things that lead up to the physical fitness, but that's where it stops. But for Michael, the physical fitness is just like a way to get the other things that he wants.
Yeah.
And one would imagine that the same thing is for Sandy, that if the best way to get the things that make her feel good would be to do this thing, then she'd do it, but it probably seems like too much work. There are easier ways to get what she wants.
Yeah.
the one person who's like hierarchy of goods that I don't quite have a like a pin in yet is Lisa. And do you want to maybe make that the last thing we do, Ben, or do you want to think about that if you have a
No,
clear
yeah,
idea?
I think for her, I think it's communing with Mother Nature, basically.
Okay.
So like, whether that's and so like that includes the drugs and the sex too, but it's not so much about drugs and sex as it is like these are natural gifts from nature that we can enjoy for the purposes of communing with nature. So that's why the most important thing for me is definitely getting out in the waves and also communing with the mountain and like experiencing the natural world, and all this other stuff just kind of goes along with that too. So they're all, I see them as, I think she sees them all as gifts, gifts from Mother Nature for us to enjoy, whether that's a really attractive body like somebody might have, like Michael maybe, or somebody else,
Uh
or the kind of experience that the mushroom.
huh. Yeah, right. Okay. So it's good. So this is a good way of thinking about these characters. Now on your sheets too, you're gonna see relationships down at the bottom, and you'll also see this thing about like people you respect and all this stuff, and that's a thing to fill out. To think about in terms of, you can think about it as archetypes. You could think about it as just general categories of people. You could think about it as qualities of like when you run into somebody, what kinds of people do you sort of off the bat respect? What kinds of people make you feel pity for them? What kinds of people like immediately do you feel attracted to? It doesn't have to be sexual attraction, right? It can be the kind of attraction that makes you feel happy and warm. Like for me, that's like old dudes with big white mustaches. I just feel like, I'm probably gonna get along with this guy, because that's been my experience. So like those sorts of things, you can put those in kind of however you want as shorthands for
Yeah.
like as you meet NPCs, as those things happen, you can kind of call out and be like, oh, I have this thing, so my character feels immediately kind of like disdain for these rich people, not happy
Yeah.
about these rich people, or immediately like, oh, I respect this guy immediately because he looks like he makes a lot of money, like those kinds of things. So you can fill that out, and it can literally be whatever you want. Archetypes work for that, but you can kind of do whatever. And then sort of last thing I'll say is we'll kind of do a little bit more of this character building, and we'll do lines and veils next time.
Okay.
We'll set some boundaries, and then we'll probably get into it. I will get you guys kind of a list of locations so you can think about what your character's goal is. So what it's basically going to be, it's going to be a Saturday. It's a busy day at the resort. You all are just getting off of work early in the evening, about 6 o'clock, and you guys are all getting together wherever your hangout is, and we can kind of figure that over the week. And what are you going to do tonight? You're going to go see a movie? Or are you going to just hang out? Are you going to go grab dinner? Are you going to like cruise the ballroom? Like what's the are you going to go into the town that's at the bottom of the mountain? What's there to do? So yeah, figuring all that out. We'll have some NPCs for you to interact with and
Cool.
stuff like that. So any last questions, concerns, things that you guys want clarified, or things that you think need to be said before we get out of here for tonight? Nope. Cool. All right. So
I
thank
hope the
you.
viewers enjoyed.
Yeah, I hope so too. And we built up for us at least a few extra people, and thank you to the like 5 people who followed us in the last couple hours here. So thanks to everybody. We'll be back again next Sunday. If you want to see another group of people playing this game but a different adventure, we're here on Tuesday nights as well. And in a couple weeks, we're also going to start having a Thursday night game. So yeah, you can find the game at theworstdays.com, or you can help support the game at patreon.com/apongames. As well, yes, there's a new actual play stream starting this week. Actual play podcast starting on Tuesday, which is Ben and Connor, as well as a couple of other people, are playing the RPG Masks the New Generation.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
Popsicle Mike, aka Ashton, is
Uh-huh.
in that one for
Yep.
the people from my channel who know her from the Jackbox antics that she gets up to.
Right.
Yep. And then
Right.
Justin from the other Worst Days, the Tuesday Worst Days stream.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
And Sean. And Sean too, but it doesn't matter.
Fuck that guy.
That's in case he's watching this.
Sean.
He doesn't
God.
stream, so fuck that guy.
Wow.
Fuck that guy. Everyone knows Sean sucks.
Wow. Sean, one of our biggest supporters. So thank you,
I
Sean,
know, right?
for your for your support. Yeah.
So
So.
sorry to hear about your mum, Sean.
Oh wow, that's
God.
terrifying.
Sorry, no.
Oh my god.
So thanks everybody for watching. And we'll be back again in a week to do more of this. And certainly check us out at allportsopen.com as well, where we have like 15 podcasts or whatever.
Yeah. Hex
Everybody,
said we should call this stream the high five, and I because everyone's getting high.
high five. I liked what was high altitude.
High altitude. High altitude is very good.
Something like a high descent.
That's good.
Mountain high. Can't call it Rocky
That's a
Mountain
high
High because that's been taken. But yeah,
Sky
maybe
High.
we'll
Mountain
yeah,
High.
Sky High. That's totally original.
Totally original.
Not a
Never
Bruce
before
Campbell
used.
property at all. All right. So everybody have a good week. We'll be back in a week, and thanks for watching.